going on? Welcome back to the channel, and if you're new, my name is LJ and you're watching NoClutch Garage. And today we're finally going to be installing the P3 gauge that goes on your BMW or really any car that you get this gauge from. This is of course particular to BMW, to the F30 platform, but if you can follow these steps, it'll apply to pretty much any BMW. The first thing we have to do before we start anything is we have to take off the vent, because P3 actually offers the gauge on its own, but it also offers an option to ship it to you with the vent already installed. It's a little bit more pricey, so people don't do it, but it's a lot more convenient. And honestly, if you're not a DIYer kind of person, yeah, you should probably buy that. But second of all, if you're watching this video, you probably like DIYs. So we're gonna go ahead and take this vent off of my car, and I'm going to show you step by step how to do it. It's actually pretty simple. Now, the installation of the gauge on the actual vent might get a little tricky, but don't worry, we're going to go through all of that. Alright, so the first thing we want to do, we're going to go in here, and you see this panel right here. We're going to have to remove it. There's an easy way to do it. Of course, if you have the plastic pry tools, you can use that, but there's also like a little lip down here that you can grab and then just pull back. And that should give you enough space to get in here. And the way to remove this is actually just by grabbing the back of it. And I don't really have a good way to show you how to do this, but essentially there is kind of like a bracket, and you're just gonna apply pressure and pull it out, and that's it. Super easy. And now that we have this, let me show you how to put the gauge on the actual vent. Alright guys, now that we have our vent right here, first step is going to be to release this portion from this right here. And the way to do that is, if you can see right there, there are about 3 tabs that hold this down. And what I will do is get a flathead screwdriver and kind of stick it in here and lift a little bit. Don't lift too much because you don't want to break anything. Both sides, and it's going to release, and just like that, then you have the 2 split sides. You can put this one to the side. Alright, now we have this part on its own, and what we're going to have to do here is we're basically going to remove these 2 slats and leave these 2 at the bottom, because the way the gauge is going to be placed is essentially going to be replacing the top portion. And the way to release this, there are these 2 kind of like openings at the top of the vent on each side, and what you want to do is just kind of press gently. You don't have to go crazy with it, and then you'll see the top kind of separate, right? You want to do that on both sides. So when you see that it starts to kind of open up like that, what you can do is pull. So you see how it released, and you want to pull it forward a little bit, so that side's good. And there's one at the bottom, and you just want to kind of stick your flathead in there and push it forward, and it's going to release. So we have this side released, and just be careful with these pieces. They're made of plastic. They're actually kind of sensitive and fragile, so you don't want to do anything too crazy, especially on this side with the wheel. Just kind of poke in there and push it, and if you can't get to it, don't mess with it too much, because it should just slide right out. And now we have these 2 parts that are separate. Make sure you keep track of this little piece right here, because that will go right back in there when we put everything back together. So right here, now we have the most tedious part of this whole process, and that is disassembling these slats. So basically there's this little bracket in the back, and if you are looking at it as if you're looking straight at the vent, it's going to be on your left side. So when you turn it over, it's going to be right here on your right. So this is a little metal clip that keeps all of these together, and what we're going to do is we're going to disconnect it. The top one comes off by pulling to the right. The next one you push in, and then these 2 kind of come off easily like that. You want to save this piece. We're going to disassemble this briefly. If you can keep it as together as you can, you know, especially if you can keep track of things. So we're going to remove these top slats, and we're going to keep these bottom two. P3 gauges has included a small tool, a little plastic clip, and this one just happens to be taped in the front. So you see this little plastic piece. This little plastic piece is what's going to hook these two together. So we're going to put one end on the top one, and you should be able to just kind of clip this on like that, and make sure you assemble this correctly. So let's get one side situated right here. Remember, these pieces are angled. And then now we're gonna insert this side, and it just kind of goes on like that. And then we're gonna take this other piece and go ahead and put it in place. Like I said, this side is just tedious. You just have to play with it a little bit. It's gonna take a little while because, you know, all your parts are kind of moving. So, you know, you might get this one together and then try to get this one together, and then it'll fall apart. So you just got to be patient and really take your time if you're not good at this kind of stuff, because you can break these pieces, and you don't really want to do that. Anything BMW OEM is super expensive for no reason, and I would hate to see some of you guys have to get new parts just because of a mistake. So let's go ahead and get this in place. Now, as we can see, or sort of see, this is working as expected. So now we have that part. Now this is the part where we add the gauge. Alright guys, so this part where I am going to be routing the cable for the adapter. To be honest, I don't think the bottom is the best way to do it. I have seen other people do it where they guide the cable through the bottom. And the ribbon, there are some issues with the ribbon where if you try to put it through the bottom, these slats won't move, and it'll just cause all sorts of issues where the slats won't move left or right, and this won't close properly because the ribbon essentially has to go from going in this direction down to the flat direction, from vertical to horizontal, and that's not really ideal because it can create some obstructions over here. So I think I'm gonna guide it through the top, and I have a very strong feeling that that's actually going to be the best way to do this. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people route it through the bottom, and I've always thought the top was probably the best, and I'm going to test that theory right now. Alright guys, so I want to show you something. I decided to do it through the bottom, route the cable through the bottom, and I'm running into an issue where I can't really turn the direction of those slats a lot because this is kind of in the way. And the bottom, if I'm gonna close it, I'm gonna have to tape it somewhere like that, right? So I think actually the top might be a better option for this. So let me go ahead and try it. So let's go ahead and put everything back together. So I'm gonna go ahead and route this cable in through here, and to do that, you're gonna have to kind of have the top open. We'll have this flap open, and then you're gonna have to move these slats a little bit to the left, and the cable goes all the way through just like that. Alright, and then make sure this is pointed back so that it can go in that little groove right there, and we're gonna go ahead and put this in place. Make sure that the cable, it's coming out this way. Make sure it stays like that going through the vent. Alright guys, now that we have it right here on this side, you can see what I'm talking about, and I'm pretty sure I was right. So what I would ideally do is put a piece of like electrical tape right here and just tape it to the side. But basically what that's going to allow you to do is going to allow you to open this and close it freely, and it's also going to allow you to move those vertical slats freely, because otherwise you wouldn't be able to. And you can still move these up and down, side to side, and you can open and close. So make sure that you do route it through the top. That's the best way, hands down. Like I said, I've seen other people do it through the bottom. That is not efficient. Please don't do that. Alright, so I couldn't find any of my electrical tape, but I am going to put some duct tape in here just because I do want to keep it in place. And you know, you're not going to be able to see this anyway. Just like that. And the way this is going to route downwards is going to be like this, and then it's just going to drop. I'm not too worried about it. I just kind of wanted to hold it in place just so it doesn't move and it doesn't cause issues when opening and closing. You see how seamless that is? I was having all sorts of issues going through the bottom, and I'm very anal about keeping functionality the way it should be, especially if it's meant to keep the functionality. So the top is the best route, hands down. Alright, now that we have done that part, you can see that this has to be connected to something, right? So this is where this little box comes into play. This is pretty much going to be the control box. So we're going to go ahead and open this. See, one side has this connector and the other side has the Ethernet style connector. So we can go ahead and connect it and make sure it locks into place. And then on the other side, we have our connector goes from the OBD to the box, and of course this connector goes into the box, and it just plugs right in, and now you have everything completely wired. Now we can go to the car and drop this in, and I'm gonna show you how to wire it. I know on their videos it kind of tells you to tuck it on the side, but I find that to be kind of ugly, so I'm going to show you how to route it from inside the car to the OBD so that it's nice and clean. And we probably will need to zip tie this to something, but I will show you everything. I'm the kind of guy that kind of likes to keep everything tight, so we're going to go ahead and look at this and we'll figure it out. Alright guys, we are now back at my ventless car. First thing we want to do before we do anything else is I'm going to go ahead and connect this to the OBD and go ahead and make sure and check that it's working, that it's getting any power, because I don't want to do all that work and then, you know, this is not going to work. Go ahead and check it. I have my wireless adapter connected to that. I have connected it and I can tell that it's working because it's lighting up. There we go. Now it's on. Now that I know that it's working, I'm gonna go ahead and put the trim back on the vent, and we do this by starting at the bottom and making sure it lines up, and then the top should just, there you go, should just go right in, and there we have it. You can choose to remove the plastic if you want. I think I'm gonna leave it on there for now. Well, no, let's go ahead and take it off. My only thing is, like, these screens tend to be really soft. But here we go. Ooh, that was satisfying. And there you have it. It's really cool. If you put a light to it, you can see all the electronics inside. Alright, so let's go ahead and install this thing. Alright, so if we look in there, kind of can't see anything. I really don't know the best way to show you how to do this. You're just going to have to kind of feel around a little bit. What we want to do first, we're going to take our OBD connector and we're just going to stick it through. Stick the whole cable through the box and everything. So me personally, I've seen where like people put the cable through and they put the vent in place, and I think that just kind of complicates everything. So let's leave the vent off for now until we can get this routed all the way down to the bottom. There's not really an easy way to show you how to do this, but we're going to take that OBD connector and route it to the bottom. So let me try to do this in an angle where you can see. This came out through here where the clutch pedal would usually be, and then I'm just going to grab the cable and route it around this plastic piece. It's kind of tedious, but you know, just bear with it. So I moved the camera angle a little bit so that you can see a little bit better how this is placed. But essentially I caught it here because it came through here, and then I'm just routing it around through here, and eventually it's gonna make it to the OBD and we can just connect it like that. And now you don't see any of the cables and everything is tucked in place. You can go a step further even and remove this panel here and look and see where you can zip tie the little control box. From the looks of it, there's not really many places where you can do that, but you can choose to leave it hanging which is totally fine. I mean, it's just gonna flop around a little bit. Or you can grab one of these frame tubes, I think that's what they are, or something. Put a zip tie through there and tie the box to it. So I think that's what I'm gonna do, but let me do it first because I don't really have a good way to hold the camera and also zip tie. So be right back.
2,000 years later.
So I'm gonna show you real quick what I did. And so basically I just zip tied the box right there. Pretty simple. Now you can tuck all the cables in. This will go in like so. One thing I do want to watch out for is the cable and how it ends up being routed in there. So just want to make sure that, yeah, that's perfect. Okay, the cable's in there, coming out just the way I planned for it to come out. Now this is in place. We can put this back in. Now it's up and down, side to side, and this opens and closes as expected, and that is exactly what I wanted. Alright guys, so now it's in place, and look how good it looks. It just looks so good. Kind of stealthy if you didn't know any better. Of course when it's turned off you can't really tell, but turn on the car. There you go. There it is, and it looks so good. It's awesome because like right here where I'm at, I can see it perfectly at the corner of my eye, and I know I can't get the camera as close to my face as I'd want it to, but I can check, you know, these parameters if I want my coolant or, you know, whatever I want. Alright guys, thank you for watching the installation of the P3 gauges. That was actually not as bad as I thought it was going to be. You just need a little bit of patience to get the gauge on the actual vent. But other than that, it's pretty straightforward, nothing crazy. I will have a separate video actually, now that I think about it, because I was going to include that in this video, but I decided not to because it was going to make the video way too long. But I'm going to have another video where I go through some of the features on the gauge. There are a lot of features on this thing. Those are features in addition to just cycling through, you know, all the parameters that gauge can read. So I will have a separate video with just the features on the P3 gauges gauge for the BMW F30 or F80. Features do vary from model to model, so this is going to be specific to my F30, but yeah, I'm excited to show you that. Anyway guys, thank you for watching. If you like what you saw, go ahead and click that subscribe button. Go ahead and give me a like, it helps me out a lot, and share this video with whoever needs to put one of these into their car. I appreciate all the support that I have gotten since I've gotten my car back. You guys are awesome. You guys have really shown me that you have missed seeing my videos, and especially on this beast. I promise I'll have a little bit more vlog style videos, just so that, you know, I'm talking to you about my day-to-day life with this car instead of just showing you DIYs. But anyway guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you and I'll talk to you next time. Peace.